All right, man. Well, we're live.
Finally back. Finally back.
Finally
here.
back. And I built a new studio, so I got that going. Your camera's not coming in. That's all right.
That's all right. I don't got a new studio like you yet. So
I know. I got a
There
sweet
it
setup
is.
here. I got a sweet setup. But we want to talk about what a big topic is right now, especially with advisors that we meet with every single day, which is how do we do this online? A lot of people want to go virtual, and we see a lot of them try, and we see a lot of them fail. We see a lot of people do really well, but it's not the lack of meeting with people. It's not the lack of the quality. It's the lack of how do you do all this online. The biggest thing I think that people aren't very good at doing this online is actually connecting with the prospect or the client. And the main reason why is because, in my opinion, as a financial advisor, we talk about the easy things that we enjoy talking about, which is the numbers, the jargon. We think we are talking about the things they want to hear. But when it comes down to this, all of it has to do with the client, the prospect, meaning what is in it for them, what's emotional for them.
yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of these guys just kind of hop in that conversation and not realizing they're talking to a real person who saved up a lot for their lifetime and they're states away, right? And so you kind of take it as growing that relationship as kind of like the key thing, not just jumping into your numbers.
Right, and I know for most of the advisors that we talk to, they go right into what do you have?
Yeah.
You know, what's your Social Security? What do you? And people, when they talk to them originally, you know, they go into the initial conversation of what are you trying to do? What did you like about the class? Oh, I like that you're trying to reduce taxes. Okay, and they dive right into the numbers, right? Well, but we got to step back. We actually have to peel back the onion a little bit where we need to understand, well, why do you want to reduce your taxes? Who are you going to do it for? So that way we can get down to the emotional part. Are we doing this for your kids? Are we doing this for your grandkids? Are we doing this for you?
Yep.
And then make it even deeper than that. Are you doing this because you want to do more trips with them? Are you doing this because you didn't have this when you were younger, but you want to leave this for them so they don't have to go through that? Right? Then it gets a lot deeper into the emotional side, and then you can bring it back around to the numbers, meaning that you can take what they're trying to do and make it about them and bring it back to them and show them what that means to them.
Absolutely.
All this number stuff is too much for people, and that's why they shut down.
Yeah, definitely got to build that rapport, the relationship, and find out their why, right? That's what all the marketers like to know is trying to figure out their why and then go into how you can help them and provide that value.
Right, and that's just it. If someone's going to pay you a fee, they need to justify that fee for the value. Yeah. So when we talk with people, the initial let's just talk about how this first meeting, second meeting goes a little bit. Now, I'll probably do like a training on it. You and I kind of talked about that, and I thought that would be kind of fun to do. But what's kind of hit me is that at the end of the day, we really just need to connect with people a lot better. But the first part of our conversation usually ends up being, okay, so what did you like about the class? What did you like about the webinar? Great, okay. We start going through the numbers a little bit, but what and obviously when you first do that first conversation or the very beginning, you need to, figure out ways to open up. And like I have pictures in the back of my family when I'm doing my Zoom calls, and it's a good conversation starter. A lot of people talk about weather. I don't know about that. Behind me, I have Vince Lombardi. Like I was named after Vince Lombardi, so it's a great conversation starter. That's the biggest thing that I see people miss out on is, how to open up that conversation and really have them kind of get a little bit deeper into why are they doing this. A lot of the guys are just doing it for the numbers. You're never going to get that client. And believe me, I was doing that. Like I was the guy doing the same thing where I'm like, okay, what do you have? And my meetings were half as long as what they normally are compared to my in-person meetings, only because I was not actually getting deeper into the meeting. So first off, make sure when you do your first meeting that you are not just trying to get the data, but also going through the emotional part of why they're doing that. And that, I mean, honestly, we really need to know that when you're a financial planner. Number two, you actually do want to have a video going on. That way I can look at Josh, right? I know, if he's agreeing with me, he's nodding his head. Yep. If he's, a little bit confused, he'd be maybe tipping his head a little bit. I think a lot of times we just jump in way too fast and we don't realize exactly what we're doing when it comes to, as financial planners, we're just diving into numbers because we think, hey, look how much better my math is than your math. Yeah. But if you're not connecting emotionally, on the heart, it's not going to come up here.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, basically put their guard down and show them the value and how you can help with their why. Is kind of how I feel like you want to end that first meeting, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what we typically do is we have that first meeting. We go through kind of what they want to do, what their goals are. Dive deeper, though. So, like, why do you want to do it this way? Like, you want to retire in 2 years. Okay, what are you going to do when you retire? Oh, you're going to golf? Like, how often are you going to golf? What golf courses are you going to golf at? Are you going to, do some cool trips? Like, and I always go back, though. You find that stuff out, and then you have to relate it to stories. If you relate it to stories, they will remember that, okay? So for me, I bring up my dad, how my dad passed away, and I'm taking care of my mom on her financial plans, and we talk about how my dad would want to create memories, and so, what he would do is take his kids and grandkids on trips, or we'd meet him out in Florida, and we'd do a bunch of stuff, but he did all that stuff for the memories. The money you can't take with you. So he wanted to use his money to create memories, and we have those memories. And that really connects with people. If you use stories, like I'm doing there, those stories really will connect with people. So you can use other client stories that you might have. Maybe you say, oh, yeah, this other client that came in, I got to see him retire. He was, oh, my gosh, he was tired of working at the warehouse like you were. And, oh, what a relief I saw when he finally was able to retire. Like, he just felt like he could just do everything now. And the funny thing is he wasn't spending a lot of money, blah, 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 right? You just go into the story, you get them to relate, and you can get them to kind of, what they start to do is they start to daydream. If people are daydreaming, seeing themselves like that, okay, then they can see how if you have something that's valuable, that they will be able to see themselves doing that too within that story.
Yeah, very true. I almost want to buy from you now, but...
that's not the idea.
Right.
We are,
you become relatable and likable, right? And then they just start to kind of become almost a friendship relationship based off just getting them to think outside of more than just how much money am I making, what's my return. It's more of a, oh, if I do this, maybe I'll get to golf more, or I'll get to play that nice course I've always wanted to play. That kind of conversation, more so than I can get you, 2%, or 4%, or whatever that conversation is.
Yeah, I've seen so many advisors. I mean, we've jumped on so many different programs, life insurance, IULs, annuities, investment management, whatever it is, right? Like there's, I used to use a lot with Formafolios. I had the Wealth Guard. That was a great story, right? Yep. All those stories matter, but if we can't get those stories to connect with the person, it's not going to matter. Okay, and so that's why we need to peel back the onion, figure out what they're doing it for themselves, and then we have the story to help them daydream with us as far as if we make these changes with your plan, we got to go back to how it's going to benefit them on how it's going to give them those things that they want. So you said, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you want to take your kids on or grandkids on trips, or you want to buy a cabin and have the kids and grandkids come up there, so you want that boat and that kind of thing. So if you can connect, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this, and what that's going to do is provide you a lot more income, and then if you get all this more income, you guys can go up to the cabin and buy those things that you guys want to do and not even worry about what your assets are doing. You have the income, right? So if you can connect that and show them what it means to them, that's a big deal. So when I do my virtual stuff, and I don't really think of it as sales, right? Because I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm more of a, I say holistic. I feel like that's a bit cliche, but we're trying to create financial plans that matter for people. We're not trying to just sell them a product. Now, if you're just a product salesman, that's okay, all right, but you're never going to do big sales or get big clients if you're just trying to do a product sale, or at least you're not going to keep them very long term. Yeah. So to pull back on, exactly what we're trying to do here, we want to help people do more virtual stuff here. But again, the biggest, I know, Josh, you work with all of our financial advisors. The biggest compliment we get is, hey, it's all good quality. It's all good quality people that we're meeting with. The biggest complaint we get is they can't close.
Correct. It's the number one complaint. That's the hardest thing. So even if you are a product pusher, it's still, pushing that kind of stuff. It's important, but you still have to have that first meeting of exactly what Vince is talking about, is building that rapport and giving them that friendship sort of vibe and relating to them more so than just hopping into, the greatest upcoming product that you're offering. Especially with virtual, I think it's more important than ever. Like the first appointment is probably the most important one in setting that stage.
Yeah, I've seen it where people, get to that second, third meeting and people are like, yeah, send me over what you put together. It looks all great. And then poof, they're gone, right? Yep. And that's what was happening probably for the first 6 months, 7 months, as far as when I was doing the virtual sales. Now I'm actually really good at it, but and I don't say that to brag. It's just like I'm actually doing really well with what we're closing. So, knock on wood. I hope that means I'm doing things right. Right. But I'm not, morally, ethically too. It's not like we're trying to spin things one way or another. We're just connecting with people really well, and I think that's been the hardest part for a lot of people, is connecting. Now, as financial advisors, we chase products that we think are going to be something that might be really enticing to people, and that's a trap that we fall in. And then we start to try to teach people why this is so much better for them, but we never really get that to relate with people. We don't really tell the story. We don't get them to get to daydream with us on what that means for them. So when you're just trying to sell, like a really cool product, right now, how many ads do you see that are out there for, do you want tax-free retirement? All of us could probably guess what that is at this point. It's probably all an IUL or life insurance product. And it's starting to probably get a little old out there. I'm guessing it's getting a little stale out there. Yeah. But again, it's just becoming a product pitch. It's not becoming a, what does it mean to them? And so when they get these leads, they're trying to say, hey, yeah, I got the product for you. You want tax-free retirement. But if you never relate it to them and get them to daydream with you on why that's a big deal, it's never going to work. Financial advisors, we love the numbers. A lot of us are analytical. Look at this is better than this, right? Why wouldn't you do it? Well, we're not connecting with them emotionally, so they don't do it. They see it, but they're not going to connect with us emotionally.
Absolutely. So then that's the first appointment, and then you usually do a 3-appointment process possibly, and so you kind of talk about your second appointment and stuff. I always hear advisors, they'll always kind of talk and help with the client, and they'll book like 3-4 weeks out. And I feel like the number one rule on that stage is if they're going to do a second appointment and you're going to get them in, it's got to be within the first 2 weeks, first week if possible, first 14 days. Yeah,
I usually don't go out more than a week. Yeah. I'll try to keep it going consistently. The more time there is in between, the more time you have. They're going to forget everything you did the last meeting. So the second meeting is more, here's the financial plans, here's where you're at right now, here's what if you did it on your own, this is what it looks like, and here's what it looks like if you wanted help with it. And then people will go into the questions like, okay, if you help with it, what's that look like? But when we go into, if we do these changes, again, I take my notes from that first meeting and we go back to, hey, you said you wanted to go on the trip and that kind of thing. So if we make these changes, now you're going to be able to do all that. And it's funny because there was a prospect I was meeting with. It's a husband and wife, great couple. The husband is definitely, more analytical, wants to change his investments, that kind of thing, but doesn't really need to spend more money. But the wife, she's more the emotional one, right? She's more like, I want to spend more money with the kids and the grandkids and leave the money behind and that kind of thing. And so so when I mentioned those things, you could see her just light up. Yeah, you're saying all the things I want to do because I do want to spend more time with my kids and my grandkids and that kind of thing and help them out or take trips with them, create those memories. He also wants to create those memories, but he's a little bit more, numbers guy, so he's probably more in line with me. But that's the biggest problem that we have as financial planners is we know what looks best on the numbers, but we got to connect the emotions with that.
Right.
And what I find is that most of us aren't going to be doing the exact thing that's best financially. We got to find this, what's going to work together, not just one or the other. If you try to do too much push on what's best financially, they'll disconnect and they'll completely leave, because what's happening is you're not listening to them. You're listening to yourself because you know what's best for them as far as financially, but you're never going to get them to agree. A lot of times when we do Roth conversions, we could show them mathematically what's a better scenario. They'll never go for the best mathematically scenario, at least the majority of people, because emotionally they've been doing something for one way for 40 years. All of a sudden you're going to try to get them to change. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like,
Yep.
You're never going to get me to stop driving a car. Like, I'm always going to, like, I've got set in my head. I don't care if I'm old, 90 years old, like, I'm going to drive myself around. Like, you're going to have to take my keys away. And that's kind of how it is when it comes to the emotions. So what will have to happen in the future when I'm older, my kids are going to have to figure out, how do we not let dad drive, but let him think he's still driving, right? And that's what's happening here.
Yeah. I've heard it from another advisor. It's like, if a client wants a hamburger and you're trying to convince them to take a salad, what's the likelihood of that going to happen? Maybe just find a healthier route, but give them something that they want. Don't try to push the salad. Give them the cheeseburger if they want it, knowing, maybe mathematically that's not the best solution, but you're giving them the opportunity to live the way they want to live.
Right. So in our second meeting, we're basically just showing here's where they're at now, and then we're going to show them here's what would it look like if we help them make some changes, and then I just ask them, how do you feel?
Yeah.
And that's the key phrase is, instead of saying like, what do you think, or do you like it, that kind of stuff, how do you feel? So that's going to, again, go more to the emotional side of things. How do you feel about it versus, and it's a very simple language change that I had to make. And this is from me reading, a bunch of stuff. And I started changing some of those things. And all of a sudden, wow, I was not connecting with people before. Yeah. I thought I was, but I wasn't. All right. And then when it goes to the plans, like, look, what do you think? Looks okay. Looks good. Okay, how do you feel? I feel like I could retire. Great. When do you want to? Mm-hmm. Or how do you want to? Yeah. So there's a big difference there with some language change. And I'll have to find that book. But one of the guys that I follow, his name is Rene Rodriguez. I've mentioned him before. He's mostly based on, he does sales tactics based on the neuroscience of things. Mm-hmm. Great guy. He's actually my next door neighbor. But I read his book, great book. And then I read Story Selling for Financial Advisors, which kind of talks about that as well. But you just got to read a lot of different books to kind of, fine tune this. But at the end of the day, if you're not connecting with people and find out what they're trying to do emotionally, you'll never be able to work with them. And some people you won't be able to, and that's okay. But I like to think now we've really dialed it in to figuring that out.
Yeah. I think it is also important to talk, like every advisor I talk to, someone will just offer an income statement plan or, but what are you showing? I know the answer, but, you said 3 options of plans. So you're showing them 3 plans. You're giving them the option. You're not just going in with your best solution and saying, hey, here's the plan I've drawn for you. Do you like it or do you not? It's more, here are 3 options. Let's adjust. Correct?
Correct. Yeah. And I actually don't go into the actual investments at all in that second meeting. I'm going for see how this can make a big difference in your retirement plan. Yes. Okay. Do you want me to show you those things that we're using? Yes. Okay. Well, then we'll set up another meeting and we'll go through it then. But, how do you feel?
Again,
I like it. I want to see what's, more involved, but I like it. Okay. But
so less number conversation, and again, just kind of reiterates the first appointment and how important that is to the second appointment on bringing emotion in and the numbers and analytics out.
correct. Yeah. Now, technically, we still go through Morningstar and Quanti, and we use Right Capital as our financial planning software. But I relate, again, I'll take, here's your risk and your reward. Okay, this is what this means to you based on if you want to go do a lot more travel. If the market drops 30%, more than likely, you're going to hold back from traveling, right? If you have $1 million and the market drops 30%, you're down $300,000, how likely are you going to want to go travel that year?
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough, right? So there's that emotional part that I know if you want to relate, if you want to travel. So it's not so much how do you feel if you lose $300,000, or just say, that sucks, but I'm okay. Okay, well, how would you feel if you can't travel then? Oh, well, then that's a lot different, right? So it's a much different if you can connect with them emotionally and understand, hey, if you lose $300,000, technically, if you built the plan right and they weren't relying on market returns, they probably are okay. But if they're relying on market returns, then maybe not. It just all depends on everyone's scenario. But I think the important part here is that you're delivering, something that's going to connect with them every time you're talking about something, even if it's the numbers, right? Even if you're, we'll talk about like the correlation matrix. Like how correlated your assets are. Okay, so here's your assets are, super correlated. So what that means to you is that if the market goes up, you're going to go up. The market goes down, you go down. So what does that mean to your retirement plan? Well, it probably means that if the market goes down, you'll probably go down with it, which means if the market goes down 30%, you're going to lose 30% too, which then means you're going to lose $300,000, which then means you're going to probably not travel, right? Mm-hmm. Does that sound right? Okay. So again, relating it to all the way back to the emotional part of why they're doing it instead of just leaving it at how do you feel if you lose $300,000? Everyone's going to say, that doesn't feel good. But what does that mean if they lose $300,000? Does that mean they're going back to work? Well, that's a lot more emotional. And again, I don't really think that works that well. I know a lot of people try to go on the fear-based type thing. That's not what we're trying to do. So that's kind of what we're doing when we're doing our planning meetings.
Awesome.
And it's only helping them. It's only helping them realize the risk they're taking and what that will mean to them in the future based on what they want to do. Correct. So it's not supposed to be, this isn't all about sales. This is about how to get people to understand the financial part to their actual emotional part. Yep. That's all it is.
And again, that's why it works so well. It's, you come into it not sales focused. It's more education, build an emotion, and relate it to them on how that can all together affect their financial situation. It's not, again, you're not going into it trying to sell a guy. You're going in to try to educate, provide value, help, relate, and then introduce them and show them how that can affect their financial situation.
Yep. And at the end, I'm basically getting them to say, okay, what are the next steps?
Yep. I
basically wait for them to say that. Or if we move forward, what are the next steps? I'm not a big pushy guy. Like I'm in Minnesota. We're passive aggressive. I don't know about Michigan, but we're considered passive aggressive. We're supposed to be, we're nice people or whatever, but we're nice to your face, at least. But the whole, I'm working with a guy in New Jersey, and I'm helping him on some of the clients that he's working with. He does more of the annuities. I do more of the assets under management. And so it's a good team approach. But he's like, hey, we need to do paperwork, blah, blah, blah. Like, let's do 60% annuity. I'm like, whoa. Let's let the client decide. Let's go through. But I'm like, I'm not doing paperwork because I haven't heard what are the next steps.
Yep.
So we walked in that next meeting. The lady had a lot of questions. I go, it sounds like you have a lot of questions. I think I didn't do my job right yet because you don't understand it fully. So let's step back a little bit. Let's figure out some things that you want and how that's going to work for you and meet in the middle. So we were talking about Roth conversions. She's like, I just can't do Roth conversions yet. I'm like, look, we don't have to do Roth conversions. Maybe we just do a little bit, ticky-tack on over. She's like, oh, yeah, I like that idea better. Okay, cool. We'll do it that way. And if your mind changes, we'll change it. It's not a big deal. And she's like, oh, great. I feel much better. So it's you can't do, if you do paperwork too early, you're just going to lose them. And I think a lot of the guys that you and I talk with, right, like they jump there right away. Like there's a guy that comes to my head. He's met with 20 people. He maybe will close one of them. Mm-hmm. He says he needs more at bats. Remember that?
Yes, I do. Yep.
So that's our fault, right? Because he can't close. And maybe it is our fault to a degree because we're not, training on that. But what we thought was everyone's biggest thing was, hey, I want good quality people. Okay, we can get you good quality people. Yep. And then now people are like, okay, now that you can get in front of good quality people, I need help with closing. And I think that's just the evolution of this.
100%.
Is that people are like, at first weren't getting good quality.
Yep.
And then so then they blame the quality as far as why they weren't closing. Yep. And then now that we give people quality, they're still not closing. So then it's now becoming more of a sales process problem, not so much a quality problem. But
yeah, 100%.
In the past, it used to always be, I got a sales process, I'm really good at it, and you just put me in front of somebody, I'll close them.
Yep.
Classic sales response we would get.
Yeah. Yep.
I close 80% of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. It was always, they wanted numbers and not quality, and now they want quality and not numbers. But hence this episode, right? Why it's becoming important to take that next step in the evolution of growth here. So.
Yeah. So who knows? I'll probably put the trainings together sooner than later. But at least for this episode, what we want our podcast to be around is really to be around helping the finance advisors around the marketing, around the sales process, and not just about, our company and why, who we are, sell our company, all that baloney. Like, come on. Yeah. Let's talk about a financial advisor podcast where we're actually going to help financial advisors and not just try to sell a program.
Yep. Which
brings me to a point that we'll talk about later, or probably in our next podcast, about why most advisors, when they do podcasts, they don't work because they're always, or even radio shows, is they're always pitching.
Yeah.
They're not educating. So I like to think of like, what's his last name? Joe, the big podcast guy. What's his name?
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Thank you. I couldn't think of his last name.
I was like, that name was almost too obvious. So I was like, I don't know. But yeah, Joe Rogan.
Biggest podcast guy, right? He's got ads in there.
He does.
But, think about his podcast. It's just a conversation with somebody.
Every time.
And he just asks the tough questions, but he asks the questions from both sides. Yep. And I think people like that. But they must because
they must.
Yeah. So besides getting like interesting people and people feel relaxed around him too, right? Like they smoke, Elon Musk was smoking weed with him.
That could help people relax a little bit around him. So there's that play. But right. Yeah, well, the podcast is never a goal to push a product or sell. We really just want to help and educate and provide any sort of value we can. It's not, end goal is not to push a product again. So
no. So what we'll do is grab a beer or something like that for the next one, and hopefully really relax and really get into like our financial plan practice. I'm really excited about my financial plan practice. It's been growing really well, and feel like we have a good system down, and would love to share all those ideas, as well as Josh is a partner on the marketing side and the marketing team here, who has a big vision on how to continue to build a financial planning practice and help you guys out along the way here. So
Absolutely.
stay tuned to more episodes. We'll be a lot more consistent here now that I got my whole studio built out. Maybe one day I'll do like a episode on how my studio looks, although I want to add some things already, believe it or not. I do want to add like a video board over here and then a couple other cameras. I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
no surprise there, no surprise. But
oh,
that would be a
it's
good
never good
episode.
enough.
Yeah, that'd be a good episode though. Let advisors know like what's it look like to have a good, decent, look like Vince podcast studio. So
Well, you know,
future
the cool
episode.
part. Well, the cool part is I can run this all on my own. Like, I feel like I should be streaming video games or something right now, you know? But,
Hey, side gig.
you know, like, I mean, it was a lot of money, but not that much money. Not like the millions of dollars I've heard people spend, but, I'm a small percentage of what we had to do all this. But it's crazy cool. I think it's fun. Love to get one for Josh. I'm kind of the test guinea pig, see how this works, and
Yep.
see how the whole setup works. And then I can tell Ryan from Call Upgrade is the guy if you guys need him. But anyway, we're over our half hour mark here that I wanted to go through, and excited to talk more about it. About the financial planning practice, growing your financial planning practice, giving you some good steps and also at the same time making sure that you're living the life you want to live too, and making sure you're helping people the right way. So look forward to talking to you guys all next time. Thanks, Josh.
Absolutely. All right, talk soon.
See ya.